Twinkle, twinkle, little star,
It's alive!
Welcome to Where the Weird Ones Are.
Every time I speak, I want the truth to come out.
Powerful figures in Hollywood as well as powerful politicians who are in fact not human. They're reptiles or they're lizards or perhaps extraterrestrials.
I don't think it is a human. I think it's a Sasquatch.
Go ahead and run! Run home and cry to mama!
Let's get weird.
What's up, you fucking weirdos? Welcome to another episode of Where the Weird Ones Are. My name is Kevin, but you probably already knew that. And if you didn't, now you do. So today on the podcast, we have Chris Holm. He is the host of Conspire A Theory. He's a great person to talk to. He has some pretty good points, I think. So his show is actually really well done. He's got a lot more episodes than I do, but he's a talented artist. I think you should check him out. He's Conspire A Theory on Instagram. I believe he tells you everywhere you can find him. But I was on his show, so if you're interested, you can go check that out. Episode 91, I think. So, or 92, one or the other. Either way, it's there. You can fucking find it. But I really enjoyed talking to Chris. He's extremely intelligent. His mind seems like it's constantly working. If you're watching this, he shows some of his artwork, actually quite a bit of it, and it's fucking phenomenal. So definitely give him a follow, show him some love, check out his podcast, and share his podcast if you like it, because that's like with this one, that's the best way you can help his show grow. So anyways, if any of you are interested in being featured on the show, you want to tell your stories, your encounter stories, or you want to talk conspiracies, hit me up at wheretheweirdonesare@gmail.com, where_the_weird_ones_are, and on IG, and Where the Weird Ones Are on Facebook, bro. So if you wouldn't mind, please leave a review, like, follow, subscribe, share. That's the best way you can help this show grow. Another way you can help this show is by going to the Etsy and buying a t-shirt or some shit. That's the best way. That's one of the best ways. That's one of the best ways there, Shiny boy. Yeah, so if at least check it out. You don't have to buy anything. I really don't care. But I think it's pretty fantastic. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy today's episode. I hope you like the stories that Chris comes on to tell. He has more stories to tell, so we'll probably get him on here again. Definitely going to have him on for Conspiracy Tuesday. Is there anything else to say? By the time this comes out, I will have already gone to Squonkapalooza. So maybe the following episode, I'll tell you guys how that was. Okay? All right. Anyways, I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good night, whatever time you decide to listen to this. and stay fucking weird.
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Let's get weird. Weird. Get weird.
www.deeperdown.store. That's where you want to go if you want a hoodie like this. I don't know if you can see it that well. Hold on, I'll show you. If you're just listening to the audio, it's down the rabbit hole. So if you're watching the video, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is my hoodie. I got it from David, who is __ down the dot rabbit hole __. He has a merch store, so go please fucking check that out. He's got a whole bunch of cool shit, cool designs. So if you need a hoodie, you need any kind of threads, please go check it out. He's a good friend of the show, and he's co-hosting over at One Nothing podcast for a couple episodes, so go check those episodes out. And please show him some love and some support. He's got a lot of cool shit in his store, so go check that shit out. Also, if you do decide that you want something from his shop, you can use my code Kevin's Weird 18. You get 18% off of your purchase. So however much shit that you want to get, the better it is for you to get more than just one thing with the coupon. So please go show him some love, show him some support. He's doing amazing shit. If you're not following him on Instagram, you probably should. So do that. All right, everybody. That's www.deeperdown.store. So, I enjoy everything from ghosts to aliens and conspiracies. Obviously, I know you do as well. So I just wanted to have you basically introduce yourself to the two people that listen to the show, and just let them know what your show is about, which I've been enjoying listening to. I actually just listened to Jen and Mondo the other day on your show. I love Jen and Mondo, 305 Paranormal. They're phenomenal people, and they're probably the nicest people that I've encountered. And I've encountered them pretty early on in the show, and they've been super supportive. So obviously, I think like-minded people attract all the time. So but anyways, so if you don't mind, just letting the good people out there that listen to Where the Weird Ones Are, let them know who you are and a little bit about your show.
When you say two people, you mean the other besides me and you? Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, you can find me at Conspire A Theory Podcast. You can go to either Spotify or whatever popular podcast algorithm thing you use, and just type in Conspire A Theory, and then you'll be able to find me through there. The logo is easy to find. It's a little fox curled up next to a microphone, and it's pretty much a paranormal and everything else show. It's funny you bring up like Mondo and Jen, because I think it was initially your show, and then I heard them on a couple other shows, and I'm like, these people are actually pretty cool, because it's like usually when ghost hunters are out to show, they're usually pompous and have some kind of yucky attitude or just self-serving attitude about it.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys just didn't have that. they didn't come off as douchebags. So it's like, hey, I got to reach out to these guys. And besides, Mondo's like a sneakerhead and an anime nut. So me and him are going to probably get together and talk some anime later on. But it's like the sneakerhead stuff. I just like, oh God, I could bust his balls about that because I got a friend who's a sneakerhead. and I run him over the reins about his addiction.
Yeah.
But yeah, I try to keep it a good, fun show. I'll like talk to people. I'll talk to like the Fortean investigators like yourself, like Ashley Holt, who goes by Azures and stuff like this. And sometimes the first half, depending on the guest, sometimes the first half we'll just go through the normal paranormal stuff. And then every now and then I'll just, if they're like cool, interesting people, I'll talk to them about their other interests as well, where we get into like movies, comic books, anime, and all that stuff, because a lot of us, we're nerds too. We're into this weird esoteric stuff, and that's sort of the background that we come from. For some of us, it's easier to get into it because we have this venue of, oh, I can understand energy channeling because I saw it on Dragon Ball Z, or I can understand, spirit energy because I saw it on an episode of Jujutsu Kaisen or something like that. It's a nice venue, and because every now and then, the usual regular interviews are just, have an author, researcher, they talk about their book, and then that's it. And the conversation doesn't go beyond that. Since there's already so many shows like that there already, I figured the way that I'll stand out is, I'll just usually, when I bring on a guest like that, I'll usually have like one or two questions that I really want to talk to them about. And then that leads to an ongoing conversation. And then we'll get into fun stuff. If they have any other fun hobbies and stuff, like Joshua Cutchin, he plays jazz, he runs around on a big old tuba. And if I ever get him on my show, I'm going to say, hey, do you ever follow fat people on the beach and play the tuba? Because I'm going to tell him, hey, I was walking to the beach without my shirt off, and I think I heard that. Was that you? Just fun stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I know that sometimes in the field, because we're so venomously desperate and thirsty for credibility, that sometimes I think we forget that that we're all just people too, type of thing.
Exactly.
And just because I like a little fun here and there, that doesn't mean that I'm taking anything less seriously. It's just we're still human beings in a way, I'm trying to say.
Yes, sir. I actually really enjoy your deadpan humor because I kind of have a little bit. I'm more so with people. I'm more like that with people I know and that I'm comfortable with in my personal life. But I find it when anybody else that I don't know and they talk to me in the deadpan humor way, like much like you do, it strikes me funny and I can't help but laugh. So
yeah, that's the whole
I enjoy
point.
it.
One of the greats was Bob Newhart. I mean, he was the king of deadpan.
Yeah. Yes, I agree. One of the first questions that I did want to ask you though was, what was the inspiration for the logo of your show?
Well, I've always liked, foxes and stuff, because I'm like also a bit of a furry too. And it's like it's like I wanted a mascot or something of that. And I was just going through Twitter and I was looking pictures of cute little fox pics. And then there's this one where this fox, he's curled up into a ball, like a donut. Mm-hmm. And I thought, oh my God, that is perfect. That is going to be my logo. So I pretty much used that as an inspiration. And then I, made a little drawing based on it. And then it's like that pretty much became my mascot for my logo. So whenever I do anything, like if I do any stickers in the future, anything like that, it's probably going to be like a little white fox that's running around doing stuff. I think I had one banner, which was where the fox is all bundled up in like a coat with a scarf on, and then there's like a Bigfoot and an ice blocks, and then another one is like with an alien, crashed like like Roswell and stuff like that. And it's just it's fun, cute stuff, and it's enjoyable. It gets attention. It's not threatening. because most everything else is usually, I mean, not to Ralph on the community, but a lot of our stuff is just, Bigfoot or something like that wearing a pair of headphones. I mean, I know it's the podcast deal, to throw on a pair of cans, but pretty much every single logo is like almost the same. And I wanted something that would like stand out and be different. And it's like in the community just seems to be in love with the color black. So I figured why not contrast it and have like a sort of a white palette figure instead.
Yeah, but I like the way it looks. It looks pretty cool. I was just when I saw it, because the name of the show, Conspire A Theory, and I was just like, are foxes conspiracy theorists? But I know when I was on your show, you talked about foxes a little bit. So I just I was like, oh, and then because obviously I can tell that it's a fox in your thing and logo, and I was like, oh, well, he's definitely likes foxes, I think. So
just say it. Just say it. This dude's a fur fag.
I would never say that.
I don't deny it. I mean, I'm a furry and all that stuff. I did all that stuff. That's pretty much how I cut my teeth, because I came from the independent comic scene, and then it's only natural that if you're into like independent comics and anime and furries, that's a Venn diagram that is almost practically a circle.
Yeah.
If it's not all three, it's going to be one of the other two because they overlap so much.
Yeah. So what do you mean by your furry? Because what I know of being a furry is like you like dress up as the animal. That's all I know of. So that's that I'm entirely ignorant of on this subject.
Well, to pull the curtain back a little bit, what you see there is the people in the suits. Those are fursuiters. That's like 22% of the furry population. And usually those fursuiters are going to like, either they're going to look like garbage because they're made at home, like by just regular people just doing a sort of amateur stuff. Mm-hmm. And then there's pro level stuff that goes into the tens of thousands of dollars for these suits. I mean, some of these suits cost from anywhere from $10,000 to $22,000. I mean, and the thing is, the furries, they have the money because most of them work in IT and other white collar work, so of course they can afford that stuff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of them are in the military too, so I mean the furries, they go pretty deep, and you can find them almost anywhere. You can almost throw a rock anywhere and you'll hit a furry.
Oh, wow. Things that I didn't know. You learn something at least a little bit new every day.
I think on an episode of On Wednesdays We Talk Weird with Azures, I actually did a full presentation on furries.
Oh, no shit.
Stuff like that. So I talked a bit about it. I mean, a lot of it is just good natured fun, mm-hmm. and there is a sort of seedy underbelly to it. But just because that's there, that doesn't mean that it isn't like an enjoyable thing, Yeah. Because it's like it's got to the point it's almost silly. Like in some of the shows, people are talking about, like, oh, how do I come out to my parents as a furry? It's like that's ridiculous. Like, I mean, some people, they like to treat it as an identity because everything's an identity.
Oh, these days, yeah, for sure.
And it's like, being a furry isn't like being gay. It's like coming out to your parents and saying, Mom, Dad, I'm really into Star Trek. I mean, all that means is like, oh, great. Can't you be into drugs? At least with drugs, you won't go broke or as broke, because those fursuits and people buy custom art for it, and it gets in the high dollars.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I mean, it's pretty much its own economy.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think I've ever found myself interested into the point to call myself that, I guess. But so you chose white to because everybody else is black. I mean, mine's white and black, and I think that's like mine's super simple. I didn't choose a mascot or anything, but everything's a mascot in this.
Yeah, well, it's
thing.
just you need a nice recognizable something or rather.
Yeah.
Because so much when you look into paranormal and podcast, it's a sea of black and green.
Yes, you're right. You know what? I'd never thought of it in that kind of like in that way, but now that you say that, I do. Going up through it, it is black and green, and there's a lot of reds too. A lot of reds, and red's my favorite color. So I'm actually surprised I never made my logo red. So, but anyways, so there, you have you in the email you sent me a picture of a drawing and of an alien, and if I'm not mistakenly, that wasn't your actual encounter, that was somebody else's that you were investigating.
Yeah, because one of the things is that I do is on the side is I also am a commission artist where people can come to me for commission work and that I'll draw art for them and stuff. So with the paranormal stuff, so much that we have is witness accounts, and there's like a large field of art recreation, and that's sort of what I dig into. Is I see so much recreation art, and I'm like, well, I can do that. Let me try it out. Let me try it out to see if I could do that as well. Because I pretty much, like I said earlier, I cut my teeth on superhero comic books and stuff like that to begin with. So instead of drawing Spider-Man, I'll draw an alien crawling through someone's window or something of that nature. With the one that we have, which is the green alien crawling through or it's not, let me see if I can bring it up for the video stuff, and then I'll try to describe it for the listeners.
Okay, perfect. I can't wait to see it. Wow.
Okay. Now, what we're looking at is the let's see, what we have here is, of course, the what looks like a gray, and he's sprawled up in the corner of a room of a hallway like Spider-Man. Now I have two sketches in that. On the right is the investigator sketch, which the investigator gave to me to use as a reference. And then on the left is me applying my 30 years of drawing experience, since I was drawing since I was 12, and 4 years art training in college in the early 2000s. And I just apply all my skill and training and take their work and then try to flesh it out. Now, what was described, what this was, is that the investigator's mother had gotten up and she had gone to she was going through her hallway to get a glass of water, and she's one of these, and she was going through, and then she saw, again in the corner, a gray man that looked like a gray, but he was green skinned, and he was sprawled up in the corner, and his body was the air around him was sparkling, which I thought was funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, because he had thrown some of his daughter's glitter on his paper to illustrate the sparkling effect, and of course I was able to translate that.
Yeah.
The sparkling, I could best describe it as sort of like, like when like let's say in sports or something like that, you exert yourself and then you see like little ribbons of silver floating around everywhere.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what I believe that was. This was some sort of, sliver effect.
Yeah, when we sweat, our skin has like little, like, it looks like a bunch of little diamonds in like the when you're like soaked from sweat. I don't know if you've ever noticed that. But I noticed it a lot when I was a kid. Like my arm, when I was sweating, it almost looked like glitter. Not like like super noticeable. It was just like barely like noticeable.
Well, I'm talking more like in your field of vision, like you'll see stars. It's called like seeing stars.
Yeah. Okay, I
when you
get
get
what you're
hit.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
referring more to that.
Yes.
But you do have a good point there. The thing is that with this initial encounter, of course I tried to illustrate it as best as I could, and then what she had seen is she had seen the green man in the corner, and that's how she described it, sprawled up in the corner like Spider-Man. Like he had his arms and legs, like he was standing on the walls and stuff like that, like he was sticking to them.
Yeah.
And then she initially, jump scared, like she was like, the initial shock made her her shake and shiver and jump suddenly, and then the man blinked out of existence.
Whoa.
And that right there is the sort of commonality that I see in some of these cases where you'll see something and then it'll just, you'll have a reaction, and a sort of an involuntary reaction to this sudden scare, and then whatever it is takes that opportunity to just shuffle itself out of the dimensional space or what have you, until we can until I can see a better explanation of that.
That's in addition. Did when it blinked out of existence, did she just like run away? Because I feel like that's what I would have done. I'd have been like, now I don't know where the hell it is.
Well, I mean, she was tired and she was at home, so she probably just looked around, got a glass of water, and just went on with her life. So
Yeah.
I mean, when you're an old Hispanic mom, it's like not much surprises you, and
that's true.
She can pretty much, she'd probably just smack it upside the head with her sandal or something like that.
I was just gonna say she probably threw her sandal at it.
Yeah, she'd probably just smack the fuck out of it. But it's just that sort of it's. I don't know. I mean, I really didn't know what to make of it.
So now, did she see it again, or was this the only time?
I believe this was a one-off.
Okay.
If there's any follow-up or any extra encounters, they haven't been brought to my attention.
Okay. The art is amazing though, my friend.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
Those listening at home, make sure to check out his channel so that way you could see this.
Yes, please look at the Where the Weird Ones Are on YouTube, and you'll come across this. Just make sure you get the time if you only want to see it, but either way, still check out the YouTube, because he's going to show us some more stuff.
All right, I'll go ahead and pull this down for the moment.
Yes, sir.
All right, so okay, are there any other like follow-up questions with that?
So when they send you the pictures and you render them, you try and make it basically look as real, as close to real, to what they actually saw as you possibly can. Correct? Obviously.
Yeah, there is this sort of like when it comes to recreate, I mean, it's going to look very comic book like, just because that's just my background.
Yep.
So as far as like, I mean, nowadays with AI and stuff like this, we can get photorealistic everything now, but with mine, I sort of go for like trying to like recreate it with like a sort of making sure that everything is proportional and as well put together as I can. I mean, even though that we're dealing with alien life, allegedly, there's still going to be like a level of proportions and things of that nature that we do have to pay attention to, especially if it chooses to exist in our physical world. What I'm really intrigued by are the one-offs of the absolutely bizarre encounters, like the Sandown clown and stuff of that nature, where it's something absolutely off the wall and completely unreal.
Mm-hmm.
That I find intriguing.
Yes. now when I was on your show, we talked about flat Earth, and one of the general consensus is, which is another theory that's based off of it, which we talked about a couple like branches that when I was on yours, and so I wanted to ask you because I wanted to bring it up, but I completely forgot, and I think I actually was like, oh, I wanted to say something, I forgot, but I wanted to ask you what you think about star seeds, because if the Earth is flat and there's no outer space, star seeds would be more like of a plausible thing. So I just wanted to get your thoughts.
Well, in the model that you're referring to, the outer space, I don't know if it's because there's supposed to be something there. I believe that according to the model, there's something there. It's just Earth is encased.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's probably something else out there. People assume that it's water, that it's sort of like a fluid substance.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if there's anything from out there that can then come in within if we were to pay attention to the model. But then also, according to the flat Earth model, they say there's like our known world, and then the ice wall, and then outside of the ice wall there are extra territories, which of course people go for the punchline, the the check phrase, the what do you call it, the catchphrase, catchphrase, extraterritorial. They go for the catchphrase. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And if our souls are constantly being recycled, I don't see how that recycling then can stop from out there, because maybe it's from somewhere else type of thing, not from the known world within the inner circle, that it could probably be a soul from an outer territory of that sort. And who knows what levels of spirituality or whatever is in the beyond, that if we were to apply that to the flat Earth model. So I do think star seeds are possible within the flat Earth model. I don't think that there's anything that would conflict with it.
Okay. All right. So you have an encounter. I want to talk to you about the dream, but I wanted to talk to you about the God damn it, why'd it go away? I had it pulled up on my phone.
I get what you mean. Even when I write the stuff down, it'll slip my mind. And I got like a little notepad that I write down everything.
So the UFO sighting that on Jack Skydeck.
Oh yeah. I have this friend who's had numerous encounters, and I did like a 3-part series interviewing him. And the man's called Jack Carroll. He released a book detailing his encounters, and he's had numerous encounters. I find his accounts intriguing, and he's just a really nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had me on his sky deck, and I was looking up, and I saw, I guess I didn't see the craft, so to speak, but I saw the lights of the craft. But I looked up, and it was really high, and it was at night, and I was looking through night vision goggles. And what I saw were 3 lights tracing around each other in a triangular shape. So it's like as if it was the bottom. I assume it was the bottom of a craft, and then these were just lights that were just tracing along the outside. It wasn't like super specific. It was like, like as if it was a series of 3 or 4 lights, and then the blinking would just trace around, like we see in our LED whenever they do the pattern work.
Yeah.
So it's something of that nature.
I think there's something to the 3 lights in a triangular shape, because that is like one of the most common UFO sightings. It's always 3 lights, and it's in a shape of a triangle. and they either you move in unison or they're together, but not losing the triangular shape, but moving in a essentially like you were saying, and then you got the cigar shape.
Yeah.
So how long do you think that sighting lasted for?
With me, it was probably like 3 or 4 minutes, and then I just stopped looking, because it's like, there's not really anything I can do about it.
Right, true.
I mean, I don't know. And the thing is, there was something like I didn't tell Jack, because I'm pretty sure he would have been all excited about it, and did a backflip. But I don't know. I kind of like kept it to myself for some reason. I kind of felt like it was sort of a special just for me type of moment. And I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. It's just something that I just kept to myself, like, this is awesome. And you just keep it like a precious something.
Yeah.
Like a souvenir of sorts.
I mean, I get it. I kept I actually forgot about it for a little while, but my mushroom people experience, I kept that to myself for pretty much the majority of my life, to the point where I had forgotten about it and I had to go through regression therapy to remember it. Mainly because I was doing it for I'm like, there's something that happened and I'm trying to unlock trauma and stuff. So, and that's what that's another thing that's wicked common with the UFO sightings and abductions are regression and regression therapy, trying to remember these things. And sometimes they can be extremely painful, but you need to remember them as much as it hurts you, so you can let it go. So, but yeah, I just bring that up just for the simple fact that we're on UFOs and aliens and stuff. So, do you think that so if there's because there's universes on universes on universe and timelines on timelines on timelines, and
yeah, a timeline where Carlos Mencia is the funniest man in the world instead of Joe Rogan. Yeah, we went there. We went there.
We did. So do you think that aliens do you think extraterrestrial beings and UFOs are government created, engineered?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that could be possible?
That aliens and UFOs are
generated by humans?
I don't know. I really don't know. It's sort of I don't know. I just had a brain fart.
It's okay.
Could you repeat the question again? I just had, before I came on, I ate this Chicago deep dish pizza, and it's
You're
like
going into a food coma.
Yeah, I'm trying to will myself out of a food coma. So it just repeat the question again. I got side.
Right,
it went into the ethers.
Happens to me all the time. So
something about that UFOs man-made.
Yes, I was wondering if you thought that if it was at all plausible that that aliens are extraterrestrial beings and UFOs could be human generated, like engineered by humans, maybe our government or our military or whatever.
Yeah, that's getting into some deep state, hidden empire, hidden civilization territory.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if I would have to speculate that if there is an external like entity, something, it either has to be like ultra terrestrial, like coming from another dimension,
yeah,
or underground, or a hidden society that comes from underground, or some sort of deep state psyop nature. I would have to guess, because we supposedly are told, we tell ourselves that we have the technology, we're on the cusp of technology for interplanetary travel.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as we know about all the other planets in our solar system, there's not any with any life in them, as far as we know, with any, plausibly, transversal life on it, that it can get around and interplanetary of that nature. And so we would have to go out of the galaxy, and intergalactic travel, on the other hand, because the distances are so great, and the math is like, you'd have to be not only a master of space, but you'd have to be a master of time, because to cover the vast distances so much. And the thing is, if you're a master of time, then that means that you can, pretty much, that the ratio for quote unquote mistakes would have to be to zero, because then you can like correct mistakes and stuff before they happen, or and stuff like that nature. You could rewrite time, so to speak, of that. So since we live in a world where, mistakes happen, bad things happen, that we have canon events that reshape our history and society and all that stuff. I don't know. I'd probably, I don't know if I would put that kind of feather in my cap, but it's sort of it's sort of one of those, if that happens to be the case, I'm not going to pretend that I'm surprised. Because, the more that we learn about our science, the more unlikely intergalactic travel is happening, unless we'd also have to compound it with time travel as well, just to cover everything.
Right.
And if time travel is a factor, then that pretty much throws another wrench in it that almost upsets everything else, because then there would be no crashes, because, allegedly the Roswell was a supposed crash. And if it was aliens, then they would have been able to go through time and scoop them up before we even knew about it.
Exactly.
So
good point, my friend. Good point.
And I don't believe that they're letting craft crash on here so to give us the gift of technology. I don't believe that. I know people say that, but I don't think that's true. That's like you crash your car into your neighbor's house and say, oh, it's theirs now, it's a gift. That's not how that fucking works. I mean, with this type of technology, even if it's lower tier, it's still, something that's fundamentally beyond us. So, them letting shit crash is just, it's unnecessarily wasteful, especially with how advanced supposedly that they would be. You would think that wouldn't be a factor.
Yeah.
I don't know. But as far as them being made by us, I can understand that being an argument.
Yeah.
Because so far we've come up with zero answers. And any type of lead up, any type of, anything that remotely goes close to a supposed disclosure, it's just empty promises, hearsay, and people lining their pockets and stuff like that. It just leads to, nefarious deeds by wicked individuals.
Yes. Nefarious reasons.
I mean, I'm not on the take, so I got no incentive to stick up for them.
Neither do I. I'm not on the payroll. If I was, I probably wouldn't be living here in this little dinky house. So, but that was more of a tangent than I expected, and that was amazing thought process, the way your mind just like fired off like that. So I appreciate all of that, and you had a good point, especially with the time travel basis. So but one thing that I really wanted to ask you was the Black Swan Inn. Did you, I think I read that you investigated it, or you were a part?
The Black Swan Inn is a haunted mansion here in San Antonio. it's one of the best commercial haunted places that gets rave reviews and stuff like this. It's not a hotel like we have the Emily Morgan Hotel, which is haunted. I'm pretty much they're all haunted, and the Mangor Hotel, which is has capitalized heavily on its hauntedness, and they're all these historical sites. The Black Swan Inn, it carries like it's really commercialized on its spooky nature. So I mean, some people really love that, and they hold festivals and stuff like this. And I've gone to investigations, and one of my first ghost hunts was at the Black Swan Inn, so it holds a special place in my heart. But I guess that's when I learned that I'm not a ghost hunter in any sense of the word. It's when I was there the entire time, I spent most of my time, in the center area where everybody would just conjugate, because it was like a group investigation where it was like a large group of about like 30 people getting together, and they would investigate various rooms and places around the complex. And they would conjugate into a center room to, set up and rest and do stuff. And it was like going all through the night. And I spent most of my time not so much doing the investigation work, but just sitting and just talking to people, getting to know them, asking them about, what do they think about this, like, what brings them here and type of stuff like this, and this was way before I even thought of having a podcast. I think this was in the I don't say early 2010s or maybe 2007 of that nature. It was quite some time ago, before that was even a thought. And I learned that, I really enjoyed talking to people. And I guess that's where that sort of passion for that awakened, that I like talking to people about paranormal stuff. And I guess for that's what that sort of thing awakened in me. And that was the place that did it for me.
Nice. So, did you ever encounter anything while you were doing the investigations other
No,
than just talking to people?
unfortunately, I didn't encounter anything, and I don't think anyone did. A lot of people
Okay.
would bring their ghost boxes, and the spirit people would do their channeling and stuff like this. And they would pick up the typical, Native American spirits, Civil War spirits, and all that stuff. And of course, there was always a Google or a wiki article that detailed it out that they could bring up then later to verify it. So it was pretty much just, run of the mill ghost hunt that, that you get the kind of stuff you expect to get on it. And it was a fun experience for me. I mean, I'm not going to knock it. I don't do it. It's not my thing, but it was a good thing for what it was.
Yeah, my daughter and I just went to Fort Knox in Prospect, Maine, and it's like famously haunted. And it had a lot of like dark areas. The fucking place was humongous. But I mean, we didn't do an actual investigation or anything. We just were walking around exploring it, and we found ourselves alone in like these dark fucking corners of the fucking fort sometimes, and my daughter would just be like, "Oh my god." But yeah, it was it's interesting. I think investigating for me, like once in a while, would probably be cool, but I don't know if I could be like 305 paranormal going out every weekend, and or Black Smoke, or Haunted South Florida, and all these, they get some amazing like evidence. There we go.
From what I've seen, it takes a lot of time and effort to get something out of it. You gotta be in a special place, I think, to get into that venue.
For
And
sure.
I unfortunately that I just don't have the time or the patience for it. It's
Yo, you like crystals? Do you like healing crystals? Do you like candles? Are you into energy healing and cleansing your mind, body, and soul? Bro, head on over to etsy.com/shop/healwithKristina. You won't be disappointed. I promise you. She's got amazing handcrafted crystals, custom made, some of them. So you should definitely check her out. She's an amazing person. She's an amazing friend. All she wants to do is help people. She wants to heal people. And she's just here, just shining her light. And it's fucking bright. It's a bright ass light. So, again, if you're into healing crystals and whatnot, you're spiritual, you got to go check her store out. Again, that's etsy.com/shop/healwithKristina. Upon checkout, enter the coupon code WEIRD125. You get 25% off. So please show her some love and check her out. She goes by HealWithKristina on Instagram, so you can connect with her there too. So yeah, check it out.
It's just not, it's not for me.
Yeah.
So, it's, but then again, the same thing could be said for like the alien abduction lore and all of that stuff. It takes a lot of, time and concentration and research and stuff like this.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'll give the paranormal and the investigation stuff is that it does have the sort of morbid respect for the history of a lot of these places. I mean, even though they sort of do it through this lens of spookiness, which is sort of like, in some cases can be pandering and maybe not in the best light at times. It is still a form of respect for the history of the place. And sometimes with some of these places, they get so run down and forgotten that the only way to preserve that type of history is to sort of, throw some sort of spooky twang on it, and it's just a way for these places that would have been forgotten and run down to gain a second life. And I don't have any problem with that.
Me neither at all. I think investigators, not only especially like the ones that I talk to and that I've become friends with, not only do they, they are out there all the time trying to get evidence, and when they find evidence, they compile it together, which is tedious work in itself. But they also research and learn the history, just like you were just saying. And I think that is, I think it's amazing. A lot of our history is either forgotten or brushed off or rewritten. So the fact that they put the time and effort in to actually do this stuff, I think, is commendable in itself.
Absolutely.
So
so whatever will get Mondo in another pair of sneakers.
I want to get him to paint a pair of sneakers for me. I'm not a sneakerhead, but I love Mondo, so I would pay him $1,000 for a pair of shoes. Just because I like him so much. But so you didn't experience anything at Black Swan, but you have had paranormal experiences.
Yeah, a lot of my paranormal experiences were of the spectral and I guess spiritual kind, which is funny because I'm like an alien abduction guy. So far as I know, no aliens have knocked on my door or anything of that nature, which is like, disappointing.
Yeah.
But then again, from what I've heard of some people, I don't think I want to run into these aliens, and I don't think they want to run into me, because they'll just, we'll just freak each other out.
Yeah.
And then they got to explain like, oh, why did we give this guy a heart attack?
Why did he give us a heart attack?
Yeah, I probably like hit him in the eyes with some wasp spray or something like that, or some hornet spray and like sting their eyes or something like that. I mean, have you ever wondered what would happen if any of those big bug-eyed guys got hit with a can of mace?
Oh my God, that's a lot of eyeball, my friend. That's a lot of eyeball. So, um, you had a dream that possibly could be intertwined with possible paranormal experience. Where it
You're
was
talking
so
about the if I think I know what you're talking about, the lady in white.
yes, man. I almost called you ma'am, but yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, that's the one I'm
No,
talking about.
I know. When I hear the term lady, I go, yes, ma'am, as well.
Yes.
And this is a yes, ma'am dream. Okay, so here's what happened. I rarely ever tell this story because this is probably the first time that anyone's been able to reach out and actually grab a SPD, as I like to call them, a sleep paralysis demon. And in this account, it was rather odd. It was like a layer upon a layer of reality as far as how I experienced it. I believe I was in the middle of a lucid dream. And I would have to say lucid dream because it was sort of like I was on my mattress and I was, on my back, and I was in, from what I could see around the field, it was like a forest, like a really dense forest, and I could see in through the trees there was like fire, and it was like a conflict, like a battlefield. And the thing is that as I was on this mattress, I was frozen, so to speak. I was paralyzed. I was stiff. I couldn't move. And it's one thing to have sleep paralysis in a waking moment. When you have sleep paralysis in a dream, that takes it to another level. And at the time, of course, at the time when you're in the moment, you don't know you're dreaming, or it just doesn't make sense for it to be a dream because you're in a different reality as far as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a woman in a white dress facing away from me on the side, and I could see her through my peripheral vision. She had like a long curly brown hair, and I could only see the back of her head. And of course, her shoulders were bare, and then the rest of the dress went down the rest of her body. Well, I thought oh my God, I have to reach out. I have to grab her. I have to, this is the only time that anyone's going to ever like have contact with an entity like this.
Mm-hmm.
So I put all my will into moving my arm, and I reached out with my arm. And because I was so weak, I could only go so far. And I reached out and I grabbed her, except what I grabbed was her ass cheek. So I reached out, I grabbed her ass cheek and I squeezed, and it was really soft. And then I could feel the reality shift around me. And I could almost feel my wrist bending as the reality shifted out.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was my wrist was bending down, whereas instead it was extended out. Instead, it was bending downwards. And I could feel instead I had a death grip on the corner of my mattress instead, and that's the softness that I felt.
All right.
And then I felt myself suddenly just shoot awake. And that was like, I mean, even though it's a very lucid dream, it was a rather odd experience because it clicked all the boxes of what we experience with other paranormal phenomenon as far as how we categorize it and stuff of that nature. So it was like really, really, it's hilarious, but on a whole different set of levels. It really checked a lot of boxes for other phenomenon as far as how we register it and stuff of that nature.
Yeah. That's it's a little unnerving as well. I mean, to be, you're like very sure that you're dreaming, but you're still experiencing the paralysis. So it's a like, I guess when I am awake and there's paralysis and I have the sleep paralysis, and it's scary. So to be in a dream where anything could happen and you're experiencing this paralysis, I feel like that would be like a whole nother level of fear. You know what I mean? Because anything could happen to you. You could see anything at that point.
Yeah, I mean,
because the reality is basically bent and broken when you're in a dream state.
the thing is that with the sleep paralysis stuff, whenever I experience it, I experience like an even weight on my body. Like my entire body feels heavy. And then I feel of course, I guess the hormones, the whatever the sleep hormones and paralysis hormones surging through my body. And usually it's terror that you feel, like liquid terror pumping through your veins. What I don't feel is the weight on my chest. I don't feel a weight on my chest. And as far as I know, I've never had a presence, have direct contact with me or sit on my chest of that nature. Like we hear with what is the typical white hag syndrome or, typical sleep goblin syndrome of that nature. I've never experienced that before. I've had, entities come into my room, and that's the spooky account. I don't know if we'll have a chance to get to that later, but I haven't had anything crawl onto the bed with me or in any ways touch me. I mean, other than me touching the lady in white, that's, I think, the only interaction that I've had, like physical interaction that I've had, even if it was technically a lucid dream. I've never had anything come up to me and touch me. I've never had anything crawl on top of me and sit on my chest of that nature. I've never had anything choke me or anything like that, which is odd. I just feel the heavy weight.
Yeah. Every time I've experienced paralysis, the same thing. The same exact thing that you're describing. I've never had anything touching me or visually touching me or felt like I was being touched. I don't feel the weight on my chest either. So I just feel like I'm like stuck. Like I feel like I just fell in a thing of jello and I'm just sitting there. You know what I mean? So I actually experienced actually a pretty terrifying sleep paralysis like a week ago, and there was, I'm not gonna get into it here because I'm gonna save it for I'm trying to save it for somebody else's show. Because I find it like it was fucking terrifying. I've reached out to so many people in this field already once it happened, like what does this mean? But it was in my room. It wasn't touching me, but it was coming towards me, and I was fucking stuck and scared, and I was just like, motherfucker, you gotta fucking move. And I finally did. And I grabbed my phone and lit up my phone screen, and there was nothing there. And it was so terrifying. But yeah, when every throughout my entire life, every time I've ever had sleep paralysis, I didn't have a weight on my chest. It was just like I was floating in jello essentially. But I was fucking terrified every time. There was one time when I was 10 that I've talked about on the show a few times where I just woke up and I couldn't move, and I didn't know why. I wasn't seeing anything. I didn't see any kind of ghost. I didn't see any kind of apparition. I didn't see a shadow figure. I didn't see anything. I didn't dream anything that I know of that was terrifying. I was just stuck and I was scared and I couldn't move for like forever. And then I finally having to pee kind of like broke me out of that one. But yeah, sleep paralysis is an interesting thing. I wonder, I'm sure there's studies on it, like, you know what I mean, like scientists or whatever.
I mean, there's like the quote unquote plausible explanation of, oh, you were just dreaming, this and that nature. I mean, we all get that. It's but as far as the spiritual, type of impact that it has on people, that we're still figuring that out.
Yeah. It's Very interesting. I haven't heard anybody describe it the way that you did. So like everybody always just is like, I'm stuck and I can't move. And it just feels like there's weight on me. But I've never actually like I never really like put it to the thought of it of other compared to other people's experiences until you just said it. Like you didn't feel like there was weight on you. You just felt stuck.
Mm-hmm.
So I can relate to that because that's how I feel every single time. I've never once have felt like there was weight on me. So far I haven't been. Oh, I'm sorry. The mushroom people touched me. But before I let you get out of here, excuse you, Siri. I'm not talking to you. So Siri's trying to talk to us right now. Are you a ghost trying to talk to us?
Something went wrong. Please try again.
Okay. But you had brought up an experience of something coming into your room. Was it your room or while we were just talking? So I would like to dive into that before.
Well, first, before we do that, let me share my screen again.
Oh yeah, that's right. You you had something else.
Now, these are the mushroom entities that I did for the compendium.
Okay.
They're probably not exactly like your mushroom people, but there are mushroom type entities out there. And these are what was described, what R. Keith Andrews described as the Spearnock Din. And these are like little, like pill-sized people, pillbox-sized people, where they have these four stocky legs. They have little arms that flap out, and then they have like a little mouth that they feed from.
Huh.
And they pretty much jump around, and they look like little mushrooms. And they're like, they're like an inch, like 2-3 inches tall and stuff like that. And they're pretty much jumping around and stuff like this. So as far as seeing mushroom people, it is a interesting thing of that nature. That I mean, mushrooms coming alive and doing stuff with us. It's like it's an interesting experience that I find.
Yeah. So that is kind of what I saw. The one that's not moving. That's how they presented themselves. That's how it looked. Almost exactly, except you couldn't tell that there was legs.
Yeah, I think I remember how you described it, like what is it, like the Fantasia, or no, I think this was someone describing it to you, was
Yeah.
like if it looked like a Disney, because I remember one of the Fantasia shorts where there was like a little mushroom people dancing around, and it was like a fun little thing.
Yeah.
And they were.
I was trying to. I actually have been meaning to like rewatch that because it's been so long, and I can't. I don't recall that part in the movie. But like, so like, say you take your feet and you put it in a fucking big ass pillowcase, and then you try and walk, and that's basically what they looked like. Like you couldn't see the legs separating.
Yeah, interesting.
So, but they did have arms too. But I didn't see a face or a mouth or anything. But they were like 2 to 3 inches tall. So
yeah,
that's super interesting. Thank you for sharing that. That's
yeah. So you want to get into the sleep paralysis demons that I had?
Yes, sir. Yes, please.
Okay. You know how everybody, when they have their sleep paralysis demons, they describe Hat Man. They describe shadow people.
Yes.
They describe the gray ghost, the gray witch.
Oh, yeah.
They just, Baba Yaga and all that stuff of that nature, demons and stuff of this, spiders crawling up on top of them. Well, mine, on the other account, well, let's see. First, this was during the daytime, and I had been on an overnight shift, and I was, napping, resting, because I was physically and mentally exhausted from my job. And I was just, laying down, and my room was filled with daylight, and I was just resting, and then I just felt the paralysis juices just going through me. And as I'm frozen there, I'm like, ah, shit, something's happening. And I just feel the fear hormones just pump through you. I don't know why it does it, but it's just the hormonal change or whatever that nature. It just takes the fear juice and just turns it to 11. And it's just surging through my veins. And then, as I'm feeling this, then all of a sudden my door opens, and it, slowly opens, and in walks two people. It's a short man with a Brashley hat, and he's got a trucker's hat on. He's got a plaid shirt, with an overshirt, and it's green and blue plaid. And he's short, and he's scrunched over, and he's misshapen. And he's got like blue jeans, and he's got this scruffy, and he's got this stern look on his face, and he's just staring just mad dogging at me. And then there's another entity that's like way taller than him, almost reached the ceiling, of a rather large, fat, rotund man who's got fiery red hair, and of course a big doofy look on his face. And he's got, a trucker hat too. And his shirt is so tight on his body that his belly is hanging out. And they come into my room, and the short one, he's looking at me like every now and then just to make sure I'm not moving. And then what they do is they start going through my things. They start opening drawers, rifling through my stuff, and opening closets and stuff. And then here's where it gets strange. As I say, well, it's already strange, but here's where the ante gets up a little bit. They open doors in walls that there are no doors. They open closet doors into where I don't have closet doors. They're able to open the walls as if they're opening other pocket dimensions, and just rifling through closet space, just looking around, shuffling around. And as they're doing this, I can feel myself start to slowly gain control again on my body. And then when that happens, the short man again, he turns to look at me, and he can see that I'm regaining control. Somehow he can sense that I'm coming back. And him and the other one, they just show themselves out, and everything is left as it was. And then they just close the door behind them. I wake up. And I get up, and of course, my nerves are on fire. My anxiety is out of the roof. I know I've been in this. I've been in the paranormal like for quite a while as a fan, as a reader, as a listener. So I know what happened to me. I know that I had a sleep paralysis experience, but the nerves are still there. That I saw this presence and felt this presence. So I'm looking through my stuff, and there's nothing there. I open my door, I look around my my rooms and all that stuff, and nothing's disturbed. I have 2 layers of security. I have deadbolts and electronic security. So that and there was no way for any of the doors to be opened without popping open the deadlocks or triggering the security alarms. Like electronic security had to be, because everything was armed. And there was really no way for them to let themselves out. And even then I would have seen evidence of them leading to, like, the door would have been unlocked on the way out, because you can't lock it back on unless you have a key. And it's just on my it's just unnerved, and nothing was disturbed, nothing was taken, but it just left him with this presence. And of course, in a way, it's a funny story. It sounds like a funny story, but the thing is that when everybody else's experiences,
I knew you drew this. I knew I saw something from the way you were describing them. I knew I had seen this somewhere.
Yeah, and I'm right now, I'm popping up an illustration of what these creatures look like to me. And on the left I have everybody else's sleep paralysis demons, and then my sleep paralysis demons, and I call them quantum white trash, because that's the only way that I could describe it. They look like white trash.
Yeah.
and like, like what we describe as, hillbillies and rednecks of that nature. And that's what I saw, that's what my whatever paralysis manifested itself as. And for me, that was a really unsettling experience,
Yeah,
and I
can
think
imagine.
that unsettling experience, that's why I kind of partly do what I do, is that, I have these experiences, and so I understand on some level, I can somewhat relate when people see an alien in their bedroom, or when they see like a Bigfoot or something out there. I can some like on some level I could say, yeah, I've been there too. And I can, it gives me a layer of empathy, that, when I do these drawings, I feel like I'm doing, like I'm investigating, that's my way of stepping into their experience, so that they can help find answers by seeing it visualized in a way that I can complete it for them. So that's sort of like one of the driving forces of what I do.
Nice, man. That is a creepy story. That kind of sounds like Monster Inc. a little bit. You know what I mean? With the just opening into random closets or other dimensions and all that stuff. That's super interesting. And you haven't experienced anything like them since? It was just that one time?
No, I mean, I think I've the tall one, I think I felt him like stand at my bedside every now and then. But other than that, I mean, I pretty much learned when I can feel an experience happen, like come close, and I can, will myself out of it. I've learned like techniques to will yourself out of it, where you can, like, if you start to feel like the haze coming down, all you do is just you wiggle your toes and fingers and stuff like this, and then your nerves will reconnect and you'll wake yourself back up again, like pretty quickly. It'll take some effort, but you can will yourself back to out of a paralysis episode. So I've pretty much been using that technique ever since then. But a lot of paralysis, I think, comes up when people are like under stress and that nature, from personal stress. And because I've eliminated, most of the stress has been eliminated in my life, that I think that would bring that stuff on. I'm not saying my life's super easy now, but it's just whatever was in my life at that time isn't in my life anymore. So I don't know if that left with it. But if I guess just learning to manage your stress, learning to keep yourself in a good state of being, really helps take the wind out of some of these experiences.
I agree. So with that experience, so are you afraid to feel that way again, like almost like you can't, are you afraid to feel paralysis to the point where you can't move? All these entities are just like basically having their way with your bedroom. Is that so? You like basically like do you, so I'm trying, so do you, when you do this, like will yourself out, do you just, is it when you feel it, like maybe something is coming, or do you just like do some kind of thing where you're just like, I'm not gonna allow this to happen ever?
It's more like I guess I could liken it to like feeling like a chemical reaction in your body.
Yeah.
Like, and I just will myself out of it, to normally when I'm sleeping on my back, and then I'll just resettle, resettle myself, and then I'll fall asleep. It's usually when I'm trying to fall asleep, something of that nature, where it'll like one of the synapses will misfire, and then it's like it induces a paralysis instead of a gentle, lull to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's more like a sleeping thing. It's more like a chemical type of just rebalancing self, like working out a kink in your elbow or something like that. It's more of it feels more like a therapeutic thing rather than a spiritual thing.
I got you.
Yeah, I don't feel anything coming. I don't feel any presences or anything of that nature. I mean, there's been times where I've been, watched a whole bunch of documentaries and you work yourself into a frenzy and you're looking around the corner all the time.
Yeah.
I totally get that. I've done that to myself a few times, but as far as that, nothing's ever come for me.
Okay. And they didn't seem interested in you. They just needed something from your room.
Yeah, they just went through my shit.
Yeah.
And the thing is, when I looked, like none of my stuff was disturbed as far as I could tell. I guess it was, like I've told this to like other friends who are deeply spiritual, and they're like, well, they're probably like rooting through like your subconscious of that nature. They were probably going through like the other doors were like dimensions in time and space where they were rooting through your past experiences. Because in my room, in my bedroom, I just have the walk-in closet. I don't have a sliding door closet, and they were opening sliding doors. So that's where, another friend of mine, Cisco Murdoch, she said, well, maybe they were going through time and going through your childhood closets looking for something. And I don't know what to make of that, but it is an interesting one more thing out there that I'm not going to roll out.
Yeah.
As far as, what the F is going on around here.
There's a lot of fuckery going on around here.
Yeah, you bet.
So one question that I like to ask everybody, are you finding fulfillment in your life with the path you are following currently, or do you feel like there is something more for you?
Well, if there's going to be anything more, it's going to be me having to do something about it, because as far as the path that I'm on now, I mean, things could be better. Things always could be better.
True.
But as far as what I'm doing, I think I'm doing what it is I want to do. I mean, the thing is just getting myself out there and talking to more people, because there's so many interesting people and so many interesting experiences out there, and I'm always open and available for hire. If anybody wants to commission an artwork of their abduction experiences, I'll try to be very, open-minded and talking to people about this. I'll try to be as empathetic as I can be, given the account and the experience, because like I said, I've sort of been through something similar myself. So as far as the paralysis and stuff like this, I can sort of get that. And I just have a general curiosity because I want to see what these things look like too,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not waiting on the government to tell me what's real or not and what I can believe in. It's like I'd rather talk to the experiences firsthand. I was hired to do a book, to work on commission, to provide artwork for a book for R. Keith Andrews. He is an experiencer who did a compendium called Races of the World, where he like lists a whole bunch of alien races that he's encountered. And because he's a sort of ambassador for the whatever galactic governing body that tends to encircle Earth, that a lot of experiencers run into, he gets, of course, firsthand knowledge on the alien races out there. So he wrote all that stuff down, and I'm of course providing the visual guide for that. I think at the time we had completed up to 70 drawings, 70 illustrations that I had done for the book. And right now the book, he's got to like put all this artwork into it, and of course rearrange stuff and update information and do all that stuff. And I don't know when the book is going to come out. I think he was gunning for like end of the year or something like that, but I'm not quite sure. It's a lot of work because it's a lot of new pages and new information that he's got to put into it. But when I was doing it, I was pretty much doing, pretty much five like illustrations per week of new creatures and stuff like this, where we would go back and forth. The initial interview would work like this, where he would give me a list and he would give me list of the attributes and descriptions, and then I would write he would send me like excerpts and stuff so that I could read about it, and then I would write down notes on information that I needed, like like height, weight, stuff like this, like bone structure, skin texture, stuff of that nature. And then I would take that and then I would put it in. Let me see if I could bring up one of the illustrations as I'm talking about it and explaining the process to you.
Yeah.
I'll just bring one of them that I was working on so that way you can sort of see what it is that I'm talking about. Yes, dead air. Here's a good one. Here's a fun one. Okay, here we go.
I got a joke. Why is being an electrician easy work?
I don't know.
Because it's literally light work.
Shocking.
Yes. My son's been writing down freaking jokes in a little notebook. All right.
Good for him. Okay, so here's one of the illustrations that I put up on the screen as I explain the process for those that are on the YouTube. What I would do is that he would send me he would send me descriptions, and this is pretty much how I would do stuff like with any commissioned work. It's an initial interview process where I talk to the people and then they tell me about their experiences, and I ask for like a written account of the most complete details that you can give me. And then I will then take that and then I'll put down my notes, and then we'll go back and forth, and we would do like a Zoom or Skype call where we would, talk face to face, because he lives in on the other side of Canada and I'm like on the other side of the middle of Texas. So we have like a 2 to 3 hour time difference.
I gotcha.
So then, so we would meet up, I'd explain to him, let me know about this, let me know about that, what about this and these details. And then he would, fill me in on like the details, like questions that I had. And then I would write down my notes, and then I would do a couple of initial sketches. And then I would send him the sketches, and then we would meet up again, face to face. And then he'd give me notes like, okay, could you make this bigger, make this smaller? I need this more elongated type of, details like this, working out the details.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would make notes about that, and then I would, finalize it and then send it in to him, and then he would give me, final approval and all that stuff. And of course, because of these are like for publication, there's a whole lot more details involved. But that's a different stuff. If I was doing this just for personal private commissions, and it wouldn't be, there would be like less, legal stuff, involved in that nature.
Right.
But just the generalities as far as, for a personal stuff, that if you would expect something, that this is sort of the experience that when you come to me, this is what you're walking into. You're walking into pretty much, I'll talk to you about it. I take notes. I'll ask you questions if you can provide me any references, like the skin was like an alligator's, and then you send me a picture of an alligator and say the skin was like this, and then I'll make note of it and be able to apply it to the illustration. And then if they will, he had like his hips were like a bird's or something, like a bird's hip of something of that nature, and then they would send it in to me, and then I would then add that and take that in. Well, we're looking into that, because there's some stuff that I mean, being that everything is like bipedal and all that nature to some degree, there are some commonalities that we can then go back and forth and look at and all that stuff and relate to, because a lot of the aliens that we run into, like I guess with exception of the mantis being sent to be, bipedal humanoid types and even in the more outskirts of the experience or stuff, you run into like a lot of what I'm seeing is a lot of people who run into spider people, which is weird.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's wild for me because I have like arachnophobia. And the
Do
funny
you?
thing is, Arkeith, he actually had a spider creature that he had commissioned me. And I'm like, oh God. Because I'm sitting there and I have to illustrate it. And then I'm like, I have to go through, to make sure that I get the spider proportions right and all that stuff. I have to go through Pinterest to look up spiders. And I'm like, oh.
You sound exactly like my son.
Let me see if I.
Oh wow, those are all good, man. Those are all really good.
This is a fun one. The hookah. It's like a regal looking. I'm showing him a picture of an owl type creature where he's got like his plumage and stuff, and he's really thick looking, and he's got like this sort of stern look on his face. And I just have to go through these like really quick. There's like a specific one that I want to. Okay, like
mantis.
Like right here, like it's like a sort of a mantis like being. See
Yeah.
if I can find the spider. Okay. So this one is the sort of the spider-like entity, where it's sort of like it has the body and it sort of it has like a human, what would be the thorax. So it's sort of segmented, where and it has like the upper torso of a human, but the lower torso of a spider. But it's more where the torso comes in from where the head would be on the spider. And it's sort of like it's got like eyes all over the place, and it's got like, mandibles and all that nature. And and of course the front protrusions, I guess, would be like the polyps on a spider. Like these arms are like rather, grotesque looking, and it's got the legs all over the place and of this nature. And doing that one, I kind of had to do a lot of looking at spiders and stuff like this. And it's just, spiders are, no matter how you do it, spiders are gross. It's very hard to make spiders look cute. It can be done, but not by me.
Not by me.
But I'm pretty sure if I work at it more, I could probably, maybe someone out there has a cute spider entity that they can bring to me, and I'd be happy to draw it of that nature. And it's just all this weird stuff that's just out there,
That's
and
interesting.
I just find it, rather intriguing. I just find it so intriguing. And and again, these are like 70 illustrations that I've completed for his upcoming book. And the thing that I really admire about what Arkeith has done is, like, all the other compendiums are all based on witness accounts, researcher accounts. They're all compiled. And the artwork is sort of an afterthought that they have, like, either different artists that do it, like they'll like have artists and they'll only get like one or two of them, like one or two illustrations from like a specific artist, so that the styles are constantly clashing. And then they'll do like seedy stuff, like they'll take production stills from movies and stuff like this, because the fantasy, like the creature from Babylon 5 looks like something that someone saw, so they'll just take a picture, like a production still from Babylon 5 or whatever, and put that into the book. And it's sort of, it's seedy and a bit underhanded, but I mean, and sometimes, because of all the artists are at different skill levels and stuff, the style is clashing but that nature. Well, what Arkeith wanted to do is he treated this like a manual. He wanted a universal style across the entire book. He wanted every single illustration to be in the same style. When I initially had approached him, he had made this request about getting this together, like I'd say about 2 years ago. He said that he was looking for artists to help him out illustrate his book. I thought that I was going to be on a team of artists. I thought that I would just do 4 illustrations and then that's it, and then the rest of the team would get the rest of them, and then we tried like write our styles together. But then he had approached me and talked to me one-on-one and said, I want you to do the entire book. And I was like, holy shit. Because that's an entire workload dumped onto me, and I was glad to have it, but it was we had to work out a system. Like I said, I was doing 5 a week, and that was for an entire year, where I was doing 5 illustrations. So that was pretty much like doing like 10 to 15 per month.
Wow.
Because there is that week between it where I'm actually doing the illustrative work, and then we're collaborating, we're going back and forth because I want to get these right.
Right. That's amazing.
So it was a rather fun process for me to undergo, and and I let him know that hey, I'm going to be sharing a couple of these on when I go on shows like yours and others. Is that okay with you? And he said, yeah, that's fine, go right ahead. I'm not going to show all of them because I want people to be able to see stuff in the book, but there's a lot in there to be seen, and I hope that people are satisfied when they pick it up. That's right, because I don't get like a percentage of book sales, because my contribution I've already been compensated. I've already been paid for my work on this book.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about money, but I just want people to see it on the grounds that there's a lot of interesting stuff here. And I worked really hard on on all of these illustrations to really present, what was given to me as far as the work on what, let me get that out there. As far as what people see on what they encounter as far as these beings out there, and all of this stuff, and I'm very proud of my work and stuff of that nature.
You should be proud.
And it's a really good effort. And what like I said, what Keith, of course, he had done, he wanted everything to be universal, because like you said, it was more of a manual. And when I grew up, I grew up going through my brother's D&D monster manuals, and I always wanted to do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
To draw monsters and stuff for Advanced Dungeons and Dragons and shit like that. And doing this, it's not the same thing, but it's scratching that itch.
Yeah, that's. Everything that you've shown me is amazing. I wish I could put my thoughts down in an illustration like this too sometimes. And that's, I've used Emily for things. When I convey it to her, it comes out a little different, but there's times where I'm just like, I want to do this, I want to do that, I want to do this, but I don't freaking like, I can't continue to like.
No, I understand that frustration.
Yeah.
Of wanting to do all the things, because I understand I'm a good artist.
You are. You're amazing.
I'm not bragging. I'm not being braggadocious. I'm good. Among my peers, I'm average to above average. In my select peer group of other artists and stuff like this, I would consider myself average to above average in skill and talent. And the thing is, I know I'm not great, and it's that hunger to want to touch that sort of level of greatness, and that I'm constantly trying to learn new techniques. I'm constantly trying to push myself.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these illustrations, a lot of them, I really push myself technically and skill wise to really get over the hump of my skill and increase my skill, because the more I do, the better I get, type of thing. And through some of the illustrations, you can see my skill develop and grow and all that stuff. And of course, Emily, she gets that. She would totally understand that we're all, as we practice, we're constantly getting better at a craft.
Mm-hmm.
So so I mean, as far as when she gets done with that comic book, I can't wait to read it and tear it up, and it's going to be super fantastic when the one that you and her are going to be working on.
Yeah.
And then hopefully by then, I'll have some of my own projects that I should be able to bring to light and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, I actually have something that I was gonna ask you once we're done recording here to do for me. So
yeah, that's fine. But then that's also sort of why I'm putting myself out there, as an artist for this, is that people, I try to be as approachable as possible, because I understand the frustrations of I saw this. So that's why I really put a lot of effort into working with people and trying to make sure that I bleed every single detail out of them, because I would talk to our Keith on these illustrations. And we would, once we built up a repertoire, we would go like 30 minutes at a time just sitting and talking about aliens and details and stuff like that, just so I could get what he wanted out.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I'm lending my talent, I'm lending my skill and talent to these people so that they could get what they saw and what they wanted on paper. So I understand their frustrations, and I'm trying to push myself to be better and better and better, so that way they could have some sort of, I guess, closure or relief, or they could feel something. And part of it too, I'll admit, I'm morbidly curious. I want to know what the fuck happened to them too. So I'm sort of, when I do these illustrations, I feel like I'm seeing it through their eyes. And I'm trying to re-experience it through them and bleed it out and into the paper.
Yeah. I like it, man. It's really, I think they're pretty fantastic. But I'm also not an artist, so I mean,
I know. That's why that's why I try to be so presentable and approachable, so that way people don't need to feel intimidated, because it's like you can hire people out and stuff of that nature. You can there's a way. There's always a way.
Yeah.
Whether it's through me or anyone else, there's always a way to get this stuff figured out.
For sure.
And I understand the frustrations of, you got something, it's like having something on the tip of your tongue.
It's
exactly like a splinter in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And you're just trying to get it out there, and sort of what I do is sort of like try to help pull that experience out so that people can visualize it.
Yeah.
So that's one of my driving things. That will always keep me in the paranormal field, so to speak.
Awesome.
The podcast is good, and it's fun, and it's lighthearted. But initially, the artwork that I do is, for me, is paramount, because I feel like I'm helping people, and that's a way for me to to give people a sense of relief and maybe closure with their experiences.
Yeah. Well, if anybody listening wants to take Chris up on any of that, you can hit him up on Instagram. And actually, you want to know what? Just plug your socials really quick, where they can where they can inquire for things like that.
Sure thing. Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Conspire Theory, all one word. You can find me on Twitter at Conspire Theory, all one word. Both of them will have links to link trees where you can find me on other various platforms. I mean, it's very easy to find me. And if you can't reach me through those means, go ahead and you can, like, there's a way to reach out to me through like email at Conspire A Theory, all one word, at Outlook, where you can email me directly. And if you feel a bit anxious about approaching me, and you want to like approach Kevin and let him know, and then he can contact me, I'm pretty sure he won't mind if because I understand that where people are probably more familiar with you than they are approaching me directly.
Yeah. I would be more than happy to
Yeah,
relay.
and I'm pretty sure in the link of the show is I'm going to give him a link to my link tree, and then you'll have the various outlets where people can reach me.
Yeah. Nice. Do you have anything else you are interested in going over before we conclude here?
I think we can conclude. There's a bunch of stuff that I could still talk about. There was a being of light in the hallway that my mother saw when I was a child. There was a dark little girl. There was a silhouette of darkness running through my halls at one time. My brother saw a shadow cat.
Shadow cat. I have an episode about shadow cats, actually.
But we could talk about all that next time.
We definitely
can. I'm just
can.
teasing everybody. I'll just tease everybody. I'll bring those stories next time. Okay.
Actually, there's something that I want to discuss with you after we're done. So hold on. So that is the show for today, everybody. Please like, follow, subscribe, do all that stuff. Please check out Chris and his work and his podcast. I would greatly appreciate it, as I'm sure he would. So I've really enjoyed this conversation. I'm gonna tell you in the intro that I enjoyed it anyway, so you're just hearing me say it twice. So basically, yeah, just like, follow, share, subscribe. Not only my shit, but his shit. Share it with anybody that you feel is interested, because that's the only way you can help either this show and Chris's show grow. And again, hopefully we get that comic book out to you guys by Halloween, but if not, hopefully by the end of the year. Emily just messaged me today. We are recording on August 21st. She had just started the panels today, so on the first couple of pages, so I'm excited. So anyways, you guys know what to do. So stay weird. And Chris, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you giving us your time and showing us your work.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for letting me on. This was great.
All right, guys, stay weird.
This concludes our broadcast day. Click.
Because in the end, none of us have very long on this earth. Life is fleeting. And if you're ever distressed, cast your eyes to the summer sky, when the stars are strung across the velvety night, and when a shooting star streaks through the blackness, turning night into day. Make a wish.